The wind carried whispers of death that night. Under a crimson sky, a lone cowboy rode across the silent desert, his horse's hooves thudding against the parched earth like a heartbeat in the void. The horizon bled red and gold, the sun dying slow over the dunes. He thought he was alone, until the wind shifted, and he heard something that froze his blood. A cry. Weak. Human. He reined in his horse, scanning the barren wasteland. Then he saw them. 2 women. Bound. Half buried in the sand like they'd been left for the buzzards. Their skin blistered from the sun, lips cracked, eyes wide with terror and disbelief at the sight of him. Ethan Cole dismounted, the sand crunching under his boots. He wasn't the kind of man who went looking for trouble, but trouble always found him. He'd been riding for days, following a trail of stolen horses, guided only by tracks and vengeance. Now, standing there with the scent of burned wood and blood in the air, he knew the trail had led to something darker. He knelt beside the women. One tried to speak but only dust came out. The other managed a whisper. "Don't come closer." Ethan froze mid-step. "Who did this to you?" he asked. Her voice trembled. "You shouldn't be here." And then, the ground began to tremble, distant thunder rolling closer. Hooves. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He drew his knife and cut the ropes fast, pulling the women behind a sand dune. Moments later, 3 riders appeared, black coats, red bandanas, rifles gleaming in the dying light. The Hollow Creek Gang. Every outlaw west of the river knew their name, and every decent man knew to stay clear. The leader spat into the dust. "Told you we'd leave M for the buzzards," he sneered. Ethan's grip tightened on his Colt. He waited. 1 heartbeat. Then another. The first outlaw spotted the missing captives. "They're gone," he shouted. Gunfire erupted. Ethan dove behind a boulder. 3 quick shots cracked the stillness. 1, 2, 3, and when the dust cleared, the outlaws lay sprawled in the sand, their red bandanas stained darker than before. Silence fell again, broken only by the ragged breathing of fear and relief. The older woman clung to her sister. "They killed our family," she whispered. "They took us to keep the truth buried." Ethan frowned. "What truth?" She hesitated, eyes flicking toward the dying sun. "The sheriff," she said softly. "He's one of them." Those words hit like a hammer. Ethan looked down at the dead men. His jaw clenched. The sheriff. Of course. Hollow Creek had always smelled of rot beneath the paint. He holstered his gun. "We ride," he said. "To where?" the younger woman asked. "Anywhere the sheriff ain't lookin', for now." They rode through the night, chased by shadows. The moon was a sliver above them, the desert wind cold and sharp. Every now and then, Ethan glanced back, half expecting riders to appear behind them. By dawn, they reached the edge of Red Creek, a forgotten ghost town buried under dust and memory. Once, it had thrived with miners, gamblers, and dreamers. Now it was just broken signs, hollow windows, and echoes of the past. They took shelter in an old saloon. The boards creaked with every step. A bottle rolled across the floor, clinking like a ghost's whisper. Ethan poured water into tin cups. "You need to rest," he said. The older woman, Clara, shook her head. "We can't stop. He'll find us." Ethan studied her hands, blistered, trembling. "You need water," he said. "And I need answers." Her sister, Rose, stared into the dust. "Sheriff Dawes runs the Hollow Creek Gang," she said finally. "He trades land for blood. My father tried to expose him, they burned our home, killed everyone." Ethan's jaw tightened. He'd heard rumors of Dawes's corruption, land deeds that changed hands overnight, ranchers who vanished, witnesses silenced. But hearing it from their trembling lips made it real. As the wind moaned through the broken windows, Ethan sat sharpening his knife. The rhythmic scrape filled the silence. "Tomorrow," he said quietly, "we ride to town." Rose looked up, panic flashing in her eyes. "You don't understand. They'll kill you before you even cross the bridge." Ethan smiled bitterly. "Then I'll make sure they shoot first." That night, none of them slept. The ghosts of Hollow Creek whispered in the wind, and somewhere far off, a coyote cried. At dawn, they rode. The desert stretched endless ahead, the rising sun painting it gold. Hollow Creek appeared in the distance, peaceful at first glance. Children played. Smoke curled from chimneys. But underneath, evil waited, hidden behind smiles and badges. Ethan rode straight into the heart of town. People turned to stare as the dust rose behind him. He stopped outside the sheriff's office. Sheriff Dawes looked up from behind his desk when Ethan pushed the door open. The man wore a star on his chest and sin in his grin. "Well, look what the wind blew in," Dawes drawled. Ethan dropped a red bandana on the desk. "Your men left their work unfinished." The sheriff's eyes flicked to it, then back to Ethan. His hand twitched near his holster. "You've made a mistake, son." Ethan stepped closer, his boots slow and heavy on the wooden floor. "No," he said quietly. "You did, when you tied 2 innocent women to die in the sand." The room went still. Dust floated in the sunlight like frozen time. Then came the first shot. Gunfire roared through the office. Glass shattered. Men shouted. The whole town seemed to explode. Ethan dove behind a desk, firing back, each bullet sharp, precise, burning with fury. Dawes's deputies burst in, guns blazing. The air filled with smoke and screams. Ethan moved like a man possessed, every shot a promise kept. When the smoke cleared, the outlaws lay dead, and the sheriff, bleeding, snarling, stumbled backward into his burning jailhouse. The flames devoured the building, orange light flickering against his twisted face. Ethan stood outside, gun smoking in his hand, as the fire took everything. When the last timber fell, Hollow Creek was quiet. Too quiet. The town was free now, but freedom always came with a cost. 3 days later, the people gathered on the hill overlooking what was left. The sheriff's office was a heap of ashes. The air smelled of soot and rebirth. Clara and Rose stood beside Ethan, watching the sun dip below the horizon. "You could have left us," Rose said softly. Ethan looked down, the shadow of a man who'd seen too much. "Could have," he said. "But then I'd be no better than the rest." He mounted his horse, adjusting the reins. The wind brushed his face, carrying the scent of dust and smoke. "This town's got a chance now," he said, tipping his hat low. "Don't waste it." As he rode away, the people of Hollow Creek watched in silence. Some whispered his name. Others simply prayed. They knew they'd witnessed something rare, a man who didn't just fight for justice, but became it. Ethan didn't look back. The desert stretched ahead, endless and empty, but he didn't mind. Somewhere out there, another storm was waiting. Another lie that needed burying. By the time the first stars appeared, he was gone, swallowed by the horizon, leaving only his legend behind. Years passed. The town rebuilt. Kids grew up hearing the story by firelight, the tale of 2 women left to die, a sheriff burned by his own greed, and a cowboy who rode out of nowhere and brought truth back from the grave. No one ever saw Ethan Cole again. But on nights when the wind howls through the canyons, when the desert seems alive and whispering, folks still swear they can hear his voice carried through the dust. Justice ain't dead. Not yet.